All right, folks, I'm here. Welcome to the daily space weather. Looking at the sun at 193 angstroms is what we thought we were doing here. But we've got two images of 304 angstroms loaded instead. Let's look at the 193 angstroms view, as I must have loaded the wrong one. So while that loads, we'll look at the 304 angstroms view. And there you see the local yellow dwarf in 304 angstroms. Some filaments there on the west. Fairly low levels of activity. We are expecting a coronal hole wind stream to strike the magnetosphere in a couple of days. There are some filaments in the northeast as well. And here's the 193 angstroms view. Large, well-defined coronal hole straddling the equator. Just moving past the exact Earth-facing region. We don't see any coronal mass ejections or anything like that, as I check those daily. And here's the southern regions, complete with date stamps. And let's look at some more data. But first, let's talk about the earthquake in the Philippines. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake has struck the Philippines. Here you can see it upsetting a pool. Some big waves forming in the pool there. And this was downgraded from a 6.9 magnitude quake. And we'll get to it in a minute. As deadly quakes strike the Philippines. Apparently some damage was reported, some power lines were fallen down and so on. We'll get to it in a minute. 10.7 centimeter radial flux back up to 70. So that's still solar minimum conditions. We've drawn that orange line in there on the 10.7 centimeter radial flux graph for your convenience. We haven't talked about cosmic rays for a couple of days, so let's go through the cosmic ray stations we normally monitor on the station, starting with Apache. And there's the data from that. We see an uptick over the past couple of days there, and relatively flat over the past 30 days. There's Barentsburg, not really showing the same sort of graph as Apache. These are located very close to the North Pole, folks. And let's go on to Athens. A little more of a normal latitude cosmic ray station. And there's the Athens neutron monitor, looking flat over the month there as well. Next we'll look at Mexico City. And there's the fairly flat 30-day graph at Mexico City. Whoops. I pressed the wrong key, folks. I apologize. Here's Moscow neutron monitor. And a pretty wild swing there over the past several days. Actually not returning data here for the past couple of days. Come on, Moscow. Although, based on the last data sent, it is fairly flat in the past 30 days also. And lastly, let's look at Oulu and DOMC Antarctica, as DOMB Antarctica not sending data. Anyway, there's Oulu. We actually see a precipitous downtick there. Over the past couple of hours, and over the past 30 days, quite flat indeed. Next, we'll look at DOMC Antarctica. There's DOMC Antarctica, nothing too special there, and there's DOMB Antarctica, not sending data. We always leave links to the Network of Cosmic Ray Stations site. And let's move on to some more stuff. GOES electron flux is pretty cratered here. Very low levels of electron flux, as there's a bit of an electron shortage going on up there. And these satellites are near the F2 ionosphere layer, GOES 14 and GOES 16. There's the graphs of that. We expect GPSs to be working quite well. Relativistic electrons are at low levels as well. GOES magnetometer showing some continued spikes here. And no explanation for that is available. Let's look at the Gong 2 data. Top view ecliptic plane field plot. This data 1 hour 54 minutes old. And we are still solidly in the North Pole oriented portion of the current sheet, folks, there. You can see that depicted in green. And there is some plasma out there in between the Earth and the Sun right now. You can see this little blob here where there's suspended magnetic field force lines. That is because the plasma, which is ionized gas, obscures the magnetic fields behind it. So it's very difficult to measure magnetic fields when there's plasma in between you and the fields. And it all has to do with the way these things are measured. And let's look at more data, such as the real-time solar wind. We see a phi angle nowhere near a magnetic connection to that coronal hole. Solar wind density at 4.45 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed down from yesterday to 368 kilometers per second. Here's the data from ACE, which is showing some pretty wild phi angle shifts here, right around midnight, actually, as well as some shifts in the, and we do see that on the Discover craft also. And where will you be ringing in the winter? Will you be ringing it in with our channel? We'll be doing a live stream in 6 days, 19 hours, and actually it's more like 18 hours and 50 minutes or something like that. We're going to be starting at 11 o'clock. The solstice is at 11:19 and 26 seconds. And that's Eastern Standard Time, by the way, folks. We're located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. And thanks to our new viewers who've recently subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Not to mention those who subscribe on BitChute, Twitch, etc. Thanks, everybody, for watching the videos. Next, we're going to look at the magnetohydrodynamic pressure over the last 4 hours to see it's quite flat here, just a fairly steady solar wind. Nothing exciting happening in the geospace magnetosphere movie. Let's put that to where it started as it refreshed itself. And there's the rest of the 4 hours of data. Next, we'll look at ground magnetic perturbations. Please leave a comment if you think the Earth is going to be flung into a different solar system where it'll merge with the planet Nibiru, and where we'll all become giants. Anyway, there are the global magnetic perturbations. We see the South Pole evidenced as creeping into the southern Indian Ocean, and main perturbations in the north over the Canadian North Pole as opposed to the Siberian one. Next, we'll look at the ionosphere to see the continued charge-up anomalies in the South Pacific, as we see 9 megahertz readings there at nighttime, when the sun is nowhere nearby, as we usually see the charged up portions of the ionosphere underneath the sun. So there you can see south-southeast of Hawaii over the past several weeks. We've been seeing these continued ionospheric anomalies down there in the South Pacific. And there's a huge disparity being created in the charge there as the South Atlantic anomaly rotates through, we'll say. Anyway, there's the latest frame. That's at 9 UT. That's 9 o'clock Universal Time. And you can see charge-up anomalies south of Hawaii. KP index has recently dropped back down to 1 as we did show prep, coming down from 2 as it spent 9 hours there after midnight. Here's a location of that quake in the Philippines, near Davao City. That 6.8 magnitude quake downgraded from a 6.9 by the U.S. downgrade service. And let's look at the last 24 hours. It looks like we see a swarm of quakes there in the Caribbean, including this 3.1 at the Dominican Republic. We've seen a few deep quakes there. Heads up, Caribbean viewers. Please leave a comment if you're viewing the video from an island. And we're just going to scroll up the list here. We have been seeing some deep quakes in Alaska, too. There's a deep quake at 166.8 kilometers, but only a 2.6 magnitude depth. I mean, a 2.6 magnitude quake. Here's a 2.9 at Dominica, also at depth. Here's a quake by Old Faithful. And let me get up the list here. I think we just refreshed. Here's a very deep quake at the Philippines, nearby to where that 6.8 magnitude hit. That one's at 572.5 kilometers depth. If that happened at the surface, that would be a mid-level 6 quake. Or at least about a 6. Maybe about a 6 if it happened at the surface. Here's a quake at Chile. That one is 4.4 magnitude at 109 kilometers. Deep quake in Russia, near the Siberian mainland there. That's a 4.3 magnitude at a depth of 326 kilometers. And here's this deep quake coming in just a few hours ago here at 6:11 UT today on 12:15. And of course, we're going to see a bunch of aftershocks there, as that was nearly a 7 magnitude quake. Tons of aftershocks. We'll be seeing those come in all day. Let's look at the pressure zones here on windy.com. And I don't know how we got to Kamchatka. I didn't search for that, but let's zoom out and show the viewers where the pressure zones are located. All right, I'm just going to leave it there. And there's the current situation. It's 4:16 a.m. Do you know where your pressure zones are? And we'll let that advance a bit. By the way, we will not be viewing the live premiere, or we'll be viewing the live premiere on YouTube, and we may not be able to comment, as I will be doing it mobilely, as we've been running late today. Anyway, there's where pressure zones will be in about 24 hours. Small volcanic downtick is noted here, although Mount Abico still on the list, producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Mount Aso, flight level 7,000 there. Not sure about Sakurajima, Dakono, continuous emissions, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Sangay exploding, flight level 19,000, and intermittent emissions at Sabancaya are telling me not to pole vault the caldera down in Peru at Sabancaya. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. And there's where it'll be in 1 week, approaching another new moon. Here's where stuff is above my head. And if you've got a low horizon, go look to the east, as Mars will be rising once again. And where I am, it'll be just before 5 a.m. in the constellation Libra. By the way, thanks for tuning in on Twitch, everybody who's viewing live. And I am able to see the chat room, believe it or not. So if you want to see the videos instantaneously, check us out on Twitch. Twitch.com/smAsho will direct you to the correct page. Also, check us out on BitChute, as we're gaining subscribers there. Have you watched the new Michelle Wolf comedy special? Well, she's a white supremacist. Just kidding, folks. I just took a still image of this to compliment Ms. Wolf on her most recent comedy special. It's quite funny, and I don't really care if you like Trump or hate Trump. The comedy special was funny, so go have a watch. And no, I don't really think she's a white supremacist. I was just joking. So check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/smAshomash. You'll get some exclusive content there. Also, check out lightningmaps.org the next time you hear thunder. And no lightning seems to be striking the U.S. right now. Let's look at the U.S. Doppler radar. And we will say the words Greta Thunberg in this broadcast. And let's animate that map here at Weather Underground. If at first you don't succeed at clicking something, click again and again and again and again. Lots of snow falling in Kansas and Nebraska, as well as some in PA and New York. Will you be having a white Christmas? Well, we've brought up tropical tidbits to elicit an answer. And here's the GFS model for midnight. Actually, let's go to 6 Zulu, 6 o'clock Universal Time on Christmas morning. And there's the scenario for the snowfall totals. Will you be having a white Christmas? Those are the GFS model, by the way. And we've got a form resubmission. All right, let's do it. Let's get the animation for the U.S. water vapor map and move on here, as there's still plenty of things to cover and sneer at. Anyway, there's the U.S. water vapor map, as the jet stream is dipping down pretty low, making for some cold areas. And let's zoom in on this area around southern Arizona, southwestern Arizona. Please leave a comment if you've been to Yuma. I stayed the night in Yuma one time. Check out the convergence zone there. Look at the amount of compression happening in that region. Massive compression. If you're flying an airplane over that area, get ready for some turbulence, to say the least. Look at the parallel lines. The water vapor map. It'll tell you things that are not obvious in the Doppler radar. Let's look at the nullschool.net jet streams. First, the Western world. Extreme meridional jet stream flow, including some backwards-facing jet streams over the central Atlantic here. And let's look at the Western world. The Eastern world. There's the Eastern world jet streams. We'll let that play for a moment in hopes that there is not too much frame loss happening today. At least the audio seems to remain clear. Let's move on to even more stuff, such as the funding of the channel. Now, let's talk about our mission real quick. It's to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. Welcome to space. All your weather comes from here. Space. To connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, hence talking to people like David Dubine, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, such as growing tomatoes indoors over the winter, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to sciences like spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, biology, magnetohydrodynamics, geology, etc., to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon and help the humans and optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And last but absolutely not least is to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. Do you disagree? Please leave a comment. Do you agree? Please become a patron. Patreon.com/smAsho, the real source of funding for these videos. And we are aware that YouTube plays ads. By the way, if you want to join at the gold level on Patreon, it's only $9.99 a month. Please consider doing that, as we need to replace a few more $1,000 in order to make this channel full-time. And thanks again to our new subscribers on YouTube, etc. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Share on your social media. Share with your local astronomy nerd club friends, etc. Talk about the whiteboard real quick. And we've got some questions about the Earth dynamo. First of all, is there a mantle down there? What is it made of? How is Earth's magnetic field generated? And where does the electron availability come from? Now, these are some pressing questions when it comes to the way the Earth, space, sun environment works, and to cosmology in general, and let's just leave it there. And thanks, Smash Team. Stay tuned for some bonus segments where we talk about whatever we want, such as fast things. Now, electromagnetic radiation's fast, whether it's got a wavelength the size of an atomic nucleus, like gamma rays, or if it's like an X-ray, more like the size of a water molecule, or if it's more the size of a virus, like visible light, or if it's more the size of a microwave, like a ladybug, or a radio wave, like a human, or the Statue of Liberty. These things all move pretty fast, usually at the speed of light, unless they're traveling through a medium affected by an electromagnetic field, in which case the photons can be stopped entirely. I know, right? Sounds crazy, but it turns out light does not move at a constant speed. If it's affected by passing through certain crystalline structures and acted on by a magnetic field, light can stop entirely. It's been done in a lab. If you don't believe me, look it up. Let's talk about slow things. The government. Now, everybody's familiar with Katie Hill nowadays, who's sitting here naked in a hotel chair, brushing a staff member's hair for some reason. Now, she's resigned from the U.S. House of Representatives amid scandals about having threesomes with her husband and staff members and so on. Well, guess who's decided to try to run in her place? Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. Now, Cenk has stirred up some controversy, and it turns out that even Bernie Sanders has rescinded his endorsement of Cenk, as apparently he has been endorsing sex with animals. Let's play a clip. Well done, Cenk, by the way.
I believe that if I were the ruler.
You're not going to believe this, so let this play.
The benevolent dictator of the world.
And shout out to Mark Dice. If he was the benevolent ruler of the world, he would legalize what, you ask? Check it out.
Bestiality, where you are giving, you are pleasuring the animal.
He would legalize bestiality in the instance where you're pleasuring the animal. I believe even Anna Kasparian has stated that that's the dumbest thing Cenk's ever said. And apparently Bernie Sanders agrees, as he is no longer endorsing Cenk. So, trouble in paradise. Speaking of trouble in paradise, Greta Thunberg, she got spoofed last night on SNL. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but Greta got into a tweet battle with President Trump over the past week, where Trump said, Greta must work on her anger management problem, then go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. Chill, Greta, chill. It is wintertime in the Northern Hemisphere. You'd think she'd be chilled. But anyway, what Greta responded with was to change her profile to read, a teenager working on her anger management problem, currently chilling and watching a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. I guess it's a good thing that she's able to follow instructions. Now, anyway, Greta got spoofed last night on SNL, and we'll be watching it later. Maybe we'll even put a clip on Instagram or something like that, where Greta was being played by Kate McKinnon. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's talk about GRO-J2058 plus 42, the X-ray pulsar with the crazy magnetic fields, doing things that look like sunspots, but on a neutron star, an X-ray pulsar, whatever, a massive radio source, whatever you'd like to call it. Now, this was discovered back in 95, I believe. Here's an article from 1999 talking about this odd pulsar, and it basically defies the... We've left links to all that. It basically defies the way the cosmology works on these objects. Anyway, there's a new paper coming out about it, and the field does not look the same all the time. This massive radio source, it appears to be orbiting through some sort of an accretion disk, and that's affecting its luminosity and its magnetic fields. So we're seeing organized fields at one time and then very disorganized fields at another time. Probably an indication of a perspective issue, but also raising the possibility that this neutron star may be doing things a lot more like a normal star would. But it's very odd, as the magnetic field only appears in its organized state during certain portions of its rotation. Now, this is believed to be a rotational period of, I think it's a few minutes. But in any case, read the article about this one if you are interested in cosmology. This SciTech Daily article about discovering a neutron star with a bizarre magnetic field. And let's just say it's more important cosmology. If you want to study the transients of that, by the way, we just did have a very significant transient here back in early 2018. You can see that massive series of transients coming out of it right there. If you want to monitor it, we've left links to the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory, the Swift Bat Hard X-ray Monitor, and just type in whatever it's called, J2058 plus 42. Actually, let's just look at all the plus 42s. There's only 11 plus 42s. Anyway, this one's way up at the top of the list. So anyway, if you want to watch the transients of your favorite objects, whether it's Sagittarius A star, or if it's Cygnus X3 or whatever, they're all on that page. You won't find every transient you've ever heard of there. And thanks again, Smash team, for viewing. Stay tuned for the bonus feature, which will be a 48-hour image. A 48-hour movie of the local yellow dwarf in 171 angstroms. My personal favorite. So we are out, folks. Again, please don't forget to press like and subscribe wherever you are. Please share on your social media and help to multiply our reach. Remember to stare at the sun and not to drink, and if you do, don't drive. Certainly don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.